Greetings, everybody. My name is Carl Pierre Lewis. I'm currently a master's student here at Florida Atlantic University studying information technology and management. And today I'll be discussing a case study presented by a group of college students at the NFL Big Data Bowl. Throughout this presentation, I'll be covering an executive summary. I'll be going over an overall problem, covering a few challenges that the group faced, a little history, patterns. Don't be afraid if you don't understand what that means. You won't understand what that means right now, but later on in the presentation you will. Play design, route combos, alternative solution, as well as a conclusion. Now, coaches are getting smarter and smarter, but this is a new era of football. Previous to this season, the league has been growing to become a predominantly passing league, and coaches must take this into consideration when putting together their game plan. Now, this case study analyzes data to understand what plays would have the greatest success. Now, this case study is mostly on offense, but defense can gain from this as well. Now, for this case study, the team analyzed route combinations against various defensive formations to understand what plays would have the greatest success. Now, let's go over an overall problem. As I mentioned before, the league is changing. The play style is changing, and coaches must take this into consideration when putting together their game plan. They must understand that now teams are passing more, so they must put together a defense to combat this, and also must put together an offense that's able to have success against any particular defense. Now, the group did face some challenges along the way while conducting their study. Next-gen stats, you will get some more information on that later, was not available yet, so they were not able to use data from next-gen stats. The next-gen stats data was released in the Big Data Bowl for this season. But that also means that the team had limited tracking data to go off of, but they still were able to put together a good study and calculate various metrics to understand what plays would be good against various defenses. Now, let's go over a little history. Currently, the average tenure of a head coach is 4.3 seasons. Now, coaches usually call plays based on their experiences and past games that they've played before. This is how coaches call plays. For example, I used to coach football. Based on my past experiences and past situations I've been in, is how I'm going to call a play. And that's how they used to do it. But in the NFL, data is becoming more and more prevalent, which is why coaches are using this and taking it and using it to their advantage. Now, to truly understand what plays would have success, the team needed to identify patterns and understand the players and the routes. Right here is how they put together an algorithm to identify routes. And at the top, you can see the various routes that they were able to identify, such as blocking, flats, and posts. Go routes are not in this chart as they were removed, but that is also extremely important that they understood this. Now, if you don't understand what a route is, it's basically the direction that a player is going. So, for example, a go route is a wide receiver running straight down the field. Now, by identifying these routes, they were also able to put together and understand plays. They were able to understand what plays were being used by offenses against various defenses. They were also able to identify player tendencies As you can see at the bottom right here, you can see percentages of routes that each player is running. For example, Adam Thielen, a player for the Minnesota Vikings. His top route is an in. So as an opponent, you would identify this and put in place a game plan to combat this individual from catching the ball. Because his top route is an in, so you can begin to predict that's what he's going to run at a particular time. Now, with these routes and plays in mind, they put together a metric in which they were able to evaluate the success of a given play. They evaluated plays using an EPA, which is an expected points added. Using this, they were able to evaluate a play's success to determine whether that particular play would either increase their chances of scoring or decrease their chances of scoring. They did have some issues with this, as good play design doesn't necessarily mean play success, as a wide receiver could be open but could drop the ball, fumble the ball, or the ball could be intercepted, etc. But they did implement a method in which they were able to eliminate that factor and just find what they were looking for, which was if a player was open, which means that the overall design of the play was good. Now, by identifying the routes and understanding the plays, they were also able to identify complementary routes, which were groups of routes that go together, which had good EPA as well as positive success rates. As you can see at the top over here are a few route combinations that go together and have a positive EPA as well as a positive success rate. For example, post and a flat, go and a comeback. These routes together will allow a team to have greater success on the field. A key component that was figured out within this case study is that by a team putting together good route combinations, they will be able to control about 70% of the field. Now, this is a significant value and is significant to an offense. So, if they were able to put together complementary routes, they'll be able to control majority of the field. Now, even though they were able to use past metrics to figure out what plays would have success, there is an alternative solution that is better than the one they have. Now, before getting to the alternative solution, I do want to cover the importance of AI and machine learning. As time is progressing, AI and organizations are beginning to understand the importance of AI and machine learning. As 2019 is a record-breaking year for AI and machine learning. A report showed that over 33% of organizations interviewed at the time found that AI and machine learning was significant to achieving their strategies and goals as an organization. And the NFL is no exception. Now, right here are two charts displaying the importance of AI and machine learning across industry and also by job function, just to show you how important and significant these are to the success of organizations. Organizations are beginning to understand the value that AI and machine learning bring. Now, in the past, the NFL have used GPS, infrared, and other metrics to gather and analyze data. But this new era is next-gen stats. This season has been the first season that Next Gen Stat has been rolled out to all 32 teams across the NFL. Now, what is Next Gen Stats? Next Gen Stats is an application that uses chips to gather and analyze data. Now, by collecting this data, they're able to analyze patterns and trends, analyze player performances, provide coaches with strategies that will be successful on offense and the defensive end. And Next Gen Stats also enhances the fan experience, which is very important. Now, how is this done? First, the data must be captured. To do this, chips are placed on players' shoulder pads as well as the game ball. This allows them to calculate various metrics. There's also 30 to 50 ultra wideband receivers across the field that allows them to track the players as well as the ball. Now, with the chips in place, they're able to capture data in real time. By also combining this with box scores and play-by-play, there's hundreds of metrics that they're collecting. And they pass this through AI and machine learning tools or software in AWS, where they're able to make accurate predictions, calculate stats, and more. And as you can see from the chart right here, is an example of stats calculated using Next Gen Stats. Right here is an example of how the data is displayed in a game.
This play is insanity, and AWS has proof. Dramatic slow motion. It's a 5-step drop, and Russell nonchalantly fires the ball 55 yards. Receiver separation, spooning. Catch probability, a scant 29%. Oh, how did Russell get that ball in there? Precision. Next Gen Stats, powered by Amazon Web Services. AWS is how.
Now, as you can see, data is changing the game. It's not only making it more fun to watch, but it's also aiding coaches and teams to have better success within the game itself. This is a new era of technology that is not only helping us as individuals, especially if you play fantasy, this is an amazing tool for predictions and stats, but also aiding the coaches. And this is a great era to be in. Thank you.